Hello and welcome to In the Light, Growing Your Soul with me, Anna Isabel. I am an analytical hypnotherapist as well as a psychological astrologer. My guest today is the first on In the Light to talk to us about Qigong, and it is Melinda Applegate. Hello, Melinda.
Hello, Anna. Thank you so much for having me.
Well, it's a pleasure, and it's something that I know very little about. And whenever I hear people talk about it, I am full of curiosity. So
Mm.
this is a real treat.
Wonderful. Well, you should be curious because, um, well, it's a foreign language. It's Mandarin for our life force energy. Ki is like prana, and then Gong is mastering that life force. So it's a practice like yoga or other forms of body mind meditation that can help you access freedom um, to live a better life.
So it seems that there are different but very similar systems.
Mhm.
What is the background of Qigong?
Qigong. Wow. Well, um, the original masters were, some say, like Qigong is about 3,000 years old. So there's a lot of teachers that have cultivated the knowledge in books like the Tao Te Ching and um, set down like principles of how to harmonize our life force energy with our body, with our mind, with our emotions and our spirit. So it's very, very old, and I think it came about uh, uh, probably before, way before yoga. I think it's just people who would use everything that they had to entertain and enhance their health and their minds and focus. So qigong is the foundation of it's an internal work, and it's a foundation of other forms like tai chi. So it's a way of strengthening your body and your mind, um, moving and meditating at the same time, so you can elevate yourself to higher forms and actually learn these forms that involve more mental states. So it's like a journey of a path to go to start from with qigong, and then after that it just keeps getting richer and deeper. But yeah.
You mentioned Tai Chi, and it made me wonder because there are different approaches to yoga. So there are different schools of yoga.
Mm.
So I'm wondering with Qigong, um, is it that Tai Chi is a part of Qigong, or is it that it's a different school altogether? What is the difference between them?
Well, people have said that qigong is the mother of tai chi, so they're in the same family, and it's a branch. Tai chi is a branch off of the qi gong tree. And so there's different doctrines of thoughts of how to approach it. Like there's Buddhists and then there's Taoists. And so that's how it separates, right? So one way is a little bit more mental and disciplined, and the other way is a little bit more related to nature, the world, the universe, that kind of, just being, um, yeah, with your energy.
So that was my next question, which was to do with the philosophy behind it and whether it has its roots in Buddhism. But it seems like there are two approaches.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not an expert enough to know where it started, if it was like Buddhist before Taoism or Taoism before, I would imagine probably Buddhist before Taoism, but I really couldn't tell you. I don't know. But they are different approaches. When I was in China, there were some temples that were Taoist and there were some that were Buddhist, and they were clearly different, starting with the amount of hair people had on their head, you know.
So Actually, that's a very interesting observation there. So, which is which?
Oh,
Which
well,
you, I'm just trying to understand because you see Buddhist monks, and very often they have shaved heads.
right.
Um, so I'm wondering because you mentioned it, um, what is the reason for that, and if the if the Tao approach has a different way of dealing with hair. It just made me curious.
Hmm. Also a good question. Not an expert on that, but if I was to listen to my intuition on that, I would say probably, the Buddhists are going for just being and to elimination, to become more essential. Um, Essentially, you. One last thing, but I think that there's some techniques in the way that they shave their heads that are kind of ritualistic too. The young monks shave each other's. It's kind of a way of bonding too. And then the Taoists, hmm, yeah, they have like the knots. Um, Maybe there's some kind of, yeah, I'm just guessing. Maybe there's some kind of hierarchy too, as you get to be more of a teacher. There might be a difference with the knots. I'd have to look into that.
That's
Yeah.
a very it's just I had never thought about it until you mentioned it, and then that made me think, oh, hang on. And it's actually just reminded me that only a few weeks ago, one of my guests who has been very involved with Buddhism was recalling having his head shaved,
Mhm.
and being told by his teacher as it was happening that that's not who he is. So it was a point of saying this body is not who you are. You
Right.
are something other than your body.
Right.
So that we were talking about consciousness. So I'd forgotten about that until we started having this conversation, which is very in line with what you just said. Okay, so we know that the roots of Qigong are extremely ancient,
Mhm.
and that it is linked with two very important branches of thought, Buddhism and Taoism.
Mhm.
And so I guess my next question is, which which school are you more linked with, and how do you embody this? Is this because we think of Tai Chi as being about movement, and we think about it as being linked with breath and movement?
Mhm.
How does Qigong work? What do you do?
You mean as far as like whether I'm more Buddhist or Taoist with the Qigong?
Yes, there's that. Yes, which branch are you more affiliated with? And then is this something that we do like meditation for, or yoga, or is it more than that? Is it a way of life, a way of being?
Oh man, I mean, I'd say that there's a bridge between both in my life because, I'm still working with the discipline of the Taoism um, on a practical level. And I think even ever since I was a little kid, like just always attracted to the Buddhists, like somebody, going away often to live in a cave or something and just be their essential selves and to watch and observe, to see who we are without being attached to the things that we see, right? So, um, yeah, I think I'm really attracted to the Buddhism.
Linda, are you there?
Oh, did you lose me?
Sorry, I did. It wasn't your fault. Somebody tried to phone me and completely disrupted the connection.
Oh,
So
okay. All right,
sorry
no
about
worries. We're back. Um,
uh,
so you were asking what part of my practice with Qigong is more Buddhist or more Taoist. And I'd have to say that my Qigong practice, I would say, because I'm a teacher, I'd say the way that I relate to my students and the way that I relate to that when I'm presenting it would be more Taoist, right? Because I'm concerned with the discipline and teaching them that everything matters and nothing matters, right? Because I want them to feel like, you know, where they are right now is part of the journey, and it's wonderful, you know, and there's no perfection. It's just that journey. But turning your foot 1 inch this way can make all the difference as it relates to the energy coming up and down in your body. So there's a discipline in that. There's like a mental and emotional aspect too, checking in with your feelings and knowing that the feelings have an effect on your body, right? And our breath, especially our breath, because when you're afraid, you know, you might hold your breath. If you're angry, you might, you know, like send it out. If you're sad, you might be holding on in a different way, you know, just holding but breathing more slowly, you know, not really wanting to pull more energy in, like you've already had too much, you're sad, you know, you're depressed, and so that it affects everything, your emotions, right? So there's that part of it. So that I would say more Taoist, like I want to teach people they have access to these tools, right? And then, but then the other part of it is, I would say my private practice is more Buddhist, where I'm watching myself, observing myself, knowing that I'm not my emotions, but I see them, and knowing that I'm not that I'm always ever evolving, right? And not to get attached to things like my hair. My hair, if you had seen it like a while, like, oh gosh, when did I cut my hair? Months ago. But it was long. It was really long. I used to have a top knot. So I guess I'm going from Taoist to Buddhist in a way with my hair, because I don't want to worry about it. You know what I mean? I just want to move on to other things. So, but when I practice, I like to be with the elements. I live really close to the beach here in New Jersey. So, first thing I want to do when I get up, when I roll out of bed, is just to be with who I am breathing before my mind starts to wake up, and just go out there and surround myself with nature, you know? And it could be anything. It could be calm. It could be like a wild, windy day. And I just want to take it up into myself and say, like, what part of me feels wild, you know? What part of me feels like vulnerable? And then try to harmonize with the nature around me, you know? So that's my private practice. And
I like that very much. That really resonates. So coming back to the discipline, so if you're teaching, I'm understanding from you that you are teaching this through the physical movement,
mm-hmm.
as we would expect with Tai Chi or yoga.
Right. Yeah.
And that you're using the physical movement as a bridge to understanding the emotional and mental state.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I find that very interesting, because then what I'm also understanding, if chi is life force, is that the movements that you're using are encouraging the flow of the life force through the body.
Mm-hmm.
So then what I wonder is, can this be used for healing?
Oh, absolutely. Oh, and I just, you know, that's how I came to it, because I had a blood clot in my arm, and when I discovered that that's what was going on, something happened to me. It like stopped me dead in my tracks. I was like running around like crazy, trying to save enough money to move to Hawaii, right? So I was like, that was my dream. And then all of a sudden, I'm like, oh, I have the opportunity to do this all differently. And I was taking a Tai Chi class at this hospital that was down the street from my house. They were offering a behavioral medicine program class in Tai Chi, and I was taking Dian Qigong, which is the wild goose, and it's very healing. And my teacher, Robert Rosenbaum, he was great. He taught me that your palms have energy that come in or out. It's like if you take your middle finger and you go down, right? It's right in the center. It's called the Lao Gong. So this is a gate of energy. If you ever seen some martial arts, some people just go like that and they send out energy and it's a force, or you can draw in energy. And same with your fingertips. So we have a lot of power. They're major gates of energy, and you have others on your body. But when we started doing the movements, he said, watch let me stick my leg out. Watch as your hand passes meridians. Those are the rivers of energy that go up and down all around your body. And one day after doing this for months, I guess somehow I had opened up the energy enough that I noticed that it wasn't just like hot or cold. There was an amplification and a distinct line of energy that went up my kidney meridian and my spleen meridian. And I was like, oh my God. And that's when it like just galvanized in me. I'm like, this is real. This is real. I don't care if modern medical science wants to do tests on it all. I know it's real, And so then I started pursuing traditional Chinese medicine after that. So I was healing the blood first and foremost to heal, to cultivate a stronger blood system in my body with the Qigong and then and the Tai Chi. And I found a teacher who taught Qigong, and I also found another teacher who taught running energy in your body. And he was from the yoga school of yoga. So he was teaching me that way, like how to interesting, like with the back of your hands, taking energy in and not taking on other people's energy, because I became a body worker and a massage therapist. So I don't use my body's energy, so I don't get depleted. So it was it's interesting. It was almost like I was starting to build like this protective shell that was permeable. And so whenever something would happen after that, where someone that I knew wasn't feeling well, or I wasn't feeling well, I'd just check into myself and say, okay, what tools do I know up to now that I can use to heal? And I usually found something. Yeah.
What a great discovery. And for my part, listening to you and you're talking about the palms of your hands. When I meditate or when I'm doing healing, I like to use crystals, and I like to hold it in the palm of my hand, or I like to place it on a person and have my hand over the crystal just in that center. And I know I can feel that energy. I can feel the energy coming from the crystal. I can feel it. And I am in very early days of developing this, but I can, when you said that about the hands, I thought, oh, yes, I know that too. I have experience of that. It's at the palm of the hands, really. And then you talked about the tips of your fingers. And it's interesting because recently I've begun to notice something happens when I brush my hand against plants.
Oh.
And I can feel something, and I don't know how to interpret what I'm feeling, but I'm feeling something, which is I think it's the beginning of being aware of that. So I find that very exciting, what you're describing.
Oh man, there's just, I was just with some friends yesterday, and we were sitting around playing around with color and using your skin to sense color with a blindfold on. First without the blindfold and seeing two different colors of paper, and then putting the blindfold on and then having, the papers kind of mixed up, and then seeing if you could sense what color it was, just by your body picking up whatever. it's amazing. Like what we have access to is so far greater than we've been trained or, taught to know. So I love that with the crystals. I still, like I'll pick up crystals and some will want to stay in my hand forever. And some are like, nah, whatever's beautiful, but it's not doing anything. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see where you go with that.
Well, I love the idea of sensing color. That is so cool. That's really um, fascinating to be able to do that.
Mm.
Tell me what part breath plays in a Qigong practice. We know it's very important in the different yoga practices and also in Tai Chi. What role does it play in Qigong?
Okay, well, so in Qigong, traditional Chinese medicine and this movement, Tai Chi, there's what they call the three treasures, right? Or the three principles. And that's your body in alignment, posture. Then there's your breath, very important, the quality of your breath. Then the third thing is your wisdom center, your intention, your purpose of what you're doing moment to moment, whether you're conscious of it or not, right? So we have the only thing we can really control in life is our breath. I mean, so God forbid somebody's trying to stop that from happening. But when you have access to your breath, you have that control. Like I was saying about controlling your emotions, calming yourself down, or giving yourself more energy. There's a thing called Shishi breathing that we just did in my class this morning, where you breathe in through your nose twice and then you exhale like that. It's very mindful. And you can really like start to bring in the nitric oxide levels, the oxygen levels, and the carbon dioxide levels, the amount of timing that you hold it, the direction that you're moving it with your mind through your body, and the posture and position. So everything's important. I would say that, breath is the one thing that you can change. You can't change your body, right? Your body is what it is. And your mind, hopefully you can change your mind, right? But that's harder to do than your breath. Your breath is like easy access right there, And I would say it gives people a sense of empowerment, you know when they realize that that's the key to starting all of the changes.
Yeah. As a hypnotherapist, breath, it plays such an important part in helping people to be calm. And so, again, this is very familiar to me. Just want to take you back to healing, because what I like about this is the thought that we're moving energy through the body. And
Mhm.
I'm just wondering if someone was suffering from very stuck emotions
Mhm.
and they wanted to begin to release them, would Qigong, would that be a good application for
Oh
Qigong?
yeah. Yeah, it's great, especially if people like to move their bodies. Or I teach a class at the Cancer Support Center where people can only sit. And when they're sitting, they can still access their body with movement. And there's different forms that I've been taught that help access that energy in different ways, right? So there's the 5 elements, right? There's 8 principles. There's the 12 meridians, and each meridian has points on it that the acupuncturists will access, but we also have the ability to access it ourselves with our fingers, with our mind, with our intention. And usually people go and access them, like because there's something inherent. Like we just know that there's something about those points that relate to the liver or the brain or the lungs, or you know what I mean? Like, or the kidneys. And so when you when you're moving your body in certain ways and you're passing your Laogong points, your hands pass those points and meridians with a form maybe that is built just for the liver, or a movement that's just for the kidneys, you know, then you're adding more power to it because your mind's engaged, right? So it's more focused. There are some movements where, you know, you push forward, like there's the fountain where you come down below and your palms are facing the inside of your legs, following the meridians, and they come up here to your heart. This is like also kidney meridian. It stops here, kidney uh, end of the, and then it goes internal. But the external part of the kidney meridian stops there and then drops into the heart. There's a relationship, right? But when you come up here and then you push out the fountain, you're thinking about water, you're thinking about, you know, the how the kidneys, you know, work the water through the body with the companion order of the organ of the bladder. So there's this whole system of thought, and the more you dive deeper into it, the more it makes sense that, you know, we have, with just one movement, you can help build your kidney strength, you know.
I am very interested in the fact that you actually work with cancer patients.
Mm.
Um, what do you feel Qigong is offering them?
Well, I think that any moving meditation offers you a chance to become a friend to where you are right now. You know, it's such an extremely hard place to be when you have something like cancer, and you know, so many people are telling you how there's this, that, and the other thing, and but to sort it out and to have a practice where you can sit down and just pay attention completely to your own body. It can't but help enhance, because the closer you can get to your body's energy and how you're able to access change with your breath and the movement, um, the more you become self-reliant, the safer you feel, the more powerful you feel. And I think that's important for anything, you know, any kind of disease. Yeah,
Absolutely.
whatever we call
That's
it.
a it's a very healing way to be doing things. We talk a lot about mindfulness, and it strikes me that this is a practice that encourages this, and particularly when you are in the middle of something like cancer, which is very frightening and your mind is always racing.
Mm.
Sometimes meditation is difficult. Well, it can be difficult at the best of times because you're working on learning how to control your thoughts and your mind, etc. But
Mm.
if you have a movement attached to it and you're focusing on your breathing and your movement, and that becomes a moving meditation, I think that makes it, um, dare I say it, easier.
Yeah, you go with the flow, literally.
Yeah, you are, and you're learning to go with the flow. I think that's one of the appealing things to me. And I'm a great fan of yoga. I love yoga,
Mhm.
but I can see the merit in a flowing movement, as being a very powerful healing tool for shifting energy.
Right. Mhm. Not everybody's ready to heal. That's the thing, you
Tell
know.
me more about that, because as a therapist, I know that, but I'd like to hear from you what you mean by that.
Oh, we become familiar. Like some people identify because they get something out of being in a state of you know, disease or out of balance. Maybe there's something that they're not getting able to get in their day to day, but that they get because they're not well. And I'm not talking about just attention, but a feeling that they're just lacking, or an idea that they can't get well. You know, like some people might go, "Oh yeah, you know, somebody told me to go do yoga." and that I'll get better or whatever, but I don't really believe it, you know, but they go anyway, and they're not going to get better because they're not fully engaged, you know. And I think that your belief system, I really believe your belief system is like paramount to healing. And so some people don't really believe that, you know, like once you become familiar with an ailment or whatever, you build a system around it that supports it, right? But then if you take that away, I think that there's a sense of free fall. What do I do now? You know,
It's
like,
it is, and it's not in any, this is in no way a criticism.
no.
It is an observation that many people have made. It is a fact that sometimes we identify with our condition, whether it be physical or a mental state,
Mm,
and we have forgotten how to not be depressive, how what it feels like to not have anxiety. And so it becomes part of our identity. And I think sometimes working with clients, even though they are not consciously holding on to whatever it is that is troubling them, they at some point become aware that they're actually afraid to let it go and be free. And so we then begin to have to help them feel safe
mm,
with that image of being different to the version of themselves that they have got used to. So I think that this is more about a fear of change and not knowing where they're going or what it looks like. So helping people to have that vision of what's possible. And of
mm.
course, there are times when people
Yeah.
don't believe they can be helped or that they deserve to be helped. They really want it, but they just don't think it's possible. And that's going a step. I at that point we have to go even slower because we have that to address before we can even move towards the issue that's brought them into a state of crisis. So I think it's
Yeah.
it's very true that we have to be fully engaged with whichever process of healing we're involved with, but we have to be ready for that change. And and sometimes we need help to remove the fear of change, even though we want it really, really badly. We could want it so much we can taste it, but we
Yeah.
could still be afraid of it and be holding back.
Right. That's why I see therapists and people like us who are helping other people, that we're coaching them to be their creative selves. We're giving them a sense of, no, this isn't, it's not all bad. This is an opportunity to really get to know yourself. Who are you? You know, you're worthy of this time. Um and it's just once people can like start walking in it and they feel like, oh, I didn't fall down, you know, or oh wow, I am a little bit stronger, you know. Like I'll give you an example. Um, lots of my in one class that I have, it's a Qigong class outside in the park. And we've been meeting for gosh, 8 years, you know. And I call them my ninjas, my elder core ninjas, because they're such a good, great group of ladies, and mostly ladies, but some guys. And so we're meeting, you know, every couple times a week out under the trees. Beautiful. Everybody loved it. But then we went into lockdown. So now what do we do? So everybody's like, oh, you know, and we're alone. And I said, well, let's learn how to get onto Zoom. And a lot of them weren't very savvy. And I was like, what else are you going to do? Come on. You can do this Zoom thing. You can do it. Okay. So they did. You know, I had like people that were 90 some years old, 80. I'd say the youngest person in my class was like 55. Everybody was like predominantly 60, 70 years old, you know, and they told themselves, No, I'm not good with technology. No, I don't want to go there. No, it's a waste of time. I always fail. I always do something stupid. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm way behind, blah, blah, blah. All the stuff we tell ourselves, right? And I'm there going, this is an opportunity. You can take it at your own pace. Let's just do this and become more resilient, you know? And so that's translated in our class with our group that, we're no team sorry. Like we don't use the word sorry, right? And I just love it. Like we've grown together as a group and we've seen each other become more resilient. And we even went a few years where we would still keep practicing in the snow. Like it would have to be really bad weather for us not to go out into the park. So
Yeah.
there's
And
always
you get
ways. What's that?
a lot of snow.
We do, but last year we didn't get any. Like this past winter, I think we got like
No.
3 or 4 days. Yeah. But
Yeah.
it gets pretty cold.
So that's very impressive.
They're impressive. When people put their minds to it and they show up for themselves, it's like anything is really possible. You don't know, you know.
Do you feel that this practice filters into every aspect of your life? Does it become a way of being?
It is a way of being. There is no like, oh, now I'm Melinda, the Qigong teacher. Oh, now I'm Melinda who, is hanging out with her friends. Like, it's funny. When I get into the car and I go, oh, someone just cut me off. Oh, I have an opportunity. What am I gonna do? Like I think it's a constant practice. And I've just been really blessed with a lot of good teachers, throughout my life. And one of my teachers that taught me Brima body work, which is a way of there's no force, no hurry. It's got 9 beautiful principles, and it's about us seeing ourselves as soil and touching another human being or the earth as soil or a thing as soil, and then meeting that so that soil on soil becomes there is no separation, right? So you can meet your life with that too. There is no separation. Everything that I do, everything that I think, everything that every way that I move, it's just like a deep conversation that you have with yourself and the world. Like, you know, how much do I want to be connected today? Sometimes you want your bubble like this. Sometimes you want your bubble like that. I don't always want to be in a disco. Sometimes I want to be in my cave. So it's just about checking into that and finding a balance. So it's all about balance.
Brilliant. So
Yeah.
if people want to learn more about you, what you do, and perhaps find your courses, how do they do that?
Well, I have a website. I actually have one called Flowing Qigong, spelled Qigong, flowingqigong.com, and that you have access to if you're local body work and massage. Um, and I do traditional Chinese medicine body work, where I'll do shiatsu, and I also do the Brima body work. And so I integrate everything according to however the person shows up to me. I also do one-on-one sessions, either in Zoom, where I can prescribe, not prescribe, but sort of set up a treatment plan for someone who um, wants to access Qigong, the movements. So it'll be involved with like breathing practices, postures, and the movements, maybe like an hour or a half hour, whatever they're ready for. And then I have classes that you can, if you contact me through my website, um, then you can have access that way. It has Melinda_Applegate at Yahoo, and I'll send you the link to my Zooms. I do 2 a week. Qigong Vitality Series. That's Monday and Wednesday. And then I also have my outdoor practice, which is Tuesday and Thursday. This is in Spring Lake, New Jersey. And then I'm a very busy girl in the summer. So I have some pop-ups. I have like a 4-week Qigong thing over at a yoga center. Um, and so, if someone contacts me, I can send wherever they are, I can sort of reach them however they want to be reached and work with
And
me. Yeah.
wonderful. Melinda, thank you so much for this brilliant insight into an ancient and very valuable system. Thank you.
Oh, well, thank you for the opportunity. It was so nice to meet you and talk to you, and I love it. Thank you.
And thank you all for watching. Do remember also to look at my own website to find out what I'm up to. Next time, we're going to be looking at animal healing. Until then, goodbye.